neurosurgeon makes $250,000 a
I
year.
understand. I understand. Your example is a class only has to do with class. I understand that. Wealth has to do with wealth. But in America, black neighborhoods were in reality something that existed and is comes from segregation. Just because segregation was over didn't mean all of a sudden, oh, everybody mixed up. Everybody got together and grew up. You live in Europe. There is no there are poor neighborhoods and rich neighborhoods in Europe, but you don't go into a neighborhood and you go, oh, there's only black people here. Oh, there's only
I
Chinese
would
people here.
no, I would disagree with that. You might want to go to the Balmer in Amsterdam, which is being gentrified, by the way, and the crime rate is going down as a result of this gentrification.
Could the same thing also be said of the Appalachians versus the WASPs in the United States, where a lot of poor people who were living in the Appalachia region were within that particular culture, and they are still in that particular culture for the most part? There wasn't as much of a growth towards the same levels of eliteness. So I don't know. Would that be another example that doesn't really talk about race as much as class and just certain cultural things being passed on?
Yes, but I think that in America there's a particular urbanization of how racial groups were living, working, and communicating with each other. And I don't think that in 2022 it's much different than when I first discovered America, 35 years ago.
But you were in New York City, right?
I was in New York City, yes.
Did you ever go out to like the hinterlands, like where I'm from, where we grow our horseradish? Did you ever come
Ye-
around these here yonder parts with the general store?
So I also lived in Massachusetts. Is that close enough to you?
Which city? It depends.
Waltham, Massachusetts,
Okay, is that a
outside of
suburb of Boston?
Boston. Yes, it's a
Yeah.
suburb of
So
Boston.
you've been in an urban or a suburban enclave of urban area. Have you ever spent an extended period of time living in small town or extremely rural America, like out in the mountains or something?
No, I
Okay,
have not.
so then your experience is going to be different from those of us who actually have been dirt poor and living in the middle of nowhere. To us, something like white privilege or CRT is a joke, number one. And to us, number two, the problems of the city slickers or flatlanders, as Vermonters tend to call them, aren't the same problems that we have. If you come to small town Vermont, you're going to see an awful lot of wood-sided general stores with people that look suspiciously like they like to play banjos a little bit too much. They're not going to disrespect you because of the color of your skin unless you're acting up. And if you're white, they're going to treat you just the same. It's entirely different than the kind of urban enclaves that you get in New York City. You have a specifically extremely segregated style of system. I would admit to this, but extremely segregated. You have people of Irish extraction living here, people of Japanese extraction, people of Chinese extraction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Mexican, Argentinian, whatever. You have these different sort of enclaves, these hubs within the city. You don't really see that if you go outside of the city. I wish that people that came from Europe, as you did, would go outside of the big cities and the suburbs just for once and see what life is really it really is for 90% of people in the United States, because it's completely different.
So I
You'd
don't think
probably
it's
change your mind.
I don't think it's 90% of the United States, considering most of Americans live in big cities. But
False, false. In urban areas, define urban. Small town America is technically defined as urban. My hometown, Rutland City, is
mhm.
defined as urban. There's nothing urban about it.
Okay,
Tallest
so
building we have is 7 stories.
so I lived in
Not
a
urban.
city that was 40 miles away from Baltimore City, and it had 11,000 people, and
For
most
how
of it,
long?
9 years.
Okay.
So is
Was it a
that
wealthy enclave?
It was not a wealthy enclave. It was a mixed, so racially mixed town with a school called the Colored School. So it had a old African American community there. The school's now a museum, and it had a very good mix of rich and poor people.
That's wonderful.
Yes,
So
and
why didn't you
and
why did you why did you why don't you point that out instead of the New York City?
because gentrification happened there too. So there was a street that was owned by black families. When I arrived there in 2000, something like that, the families were still living there. A promoter investor went and bought all the houses, tore down a whole bunch of them, never built them again. And then the other ones that were there, some of them got transformed. I rented a house there for a little bit. The house tripled in value within 25 years.
And and what's the problem with that?
The problem with that is, why was it undervalued before?
Well, if they tore it down and they improved the land, it wouldn't have really mattered who had lived there before. You could do the same thing in Cole County in West Virginia or Pennsylvania.
Yes, but the house hadn't been transformed outside of making a bedroom where a porch was. So it wasn't.
So you
It was the same.
expanded. So yeah, you expanded the property. You made it bigger.
That's not
That's
three
meaningful.
times the value. But
Okay, it is. It is if you've torn down blighted areas near it. You shouldn't get into real estate.
okay. Well, gentrification is a problem when it affects the population that lives in that area, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it affected them. They said they sold their houses for probably more than they were worth on paper. They made bank. I fail to see the problem. They got their payday. They decided nobody forced them to sell, did they?
Oh,
This
okay.
this can definitely be a problem. I will make one admission. When a group like BlackRock comes in during a housing crunch and they offer people 10-20% over spot or something as a corporation in order to subdevelop massive areas and put in a housing authority, I agree with you. That's wrong. But if a private developer that's not a massive globalist chain or something comes in and says, hey, we'll pay you 50% more than what this property is worth. We want to put up a park here and make a little suburban lot or something. That has nothing to do with race. I'm sure but what if they do this in an area in like West Virginia? Again, 95% white or 100% white or something.
Do they
It's
do
still gentrification.
do they do it in West Virginia? That's the question.
I'm sure that they do.
Because I've seen it in this small town. I've seen it in Brooklyn. I've seen it in Baltimore. I bought a house in Baltimore. I had to decide, am I gentrifying? Am I not gentrifying? Like,
Why do you even care?
because I have to care about the community and making sure the community continues to grow in a natural and healthy way, and not have somebody come in and just destroy the actual fiber of the community.
Why would you think that you, as a private individual buying or renting a house within a community, would gentrify it? We're talking about developers mainly.
Right.
You're not going to tear down the house and put up a parking lot or something like that.
No, that's
Put up
not
a
what I was
mansion.
going to do. No, I live in a very old house, and I
Why
love my
why
little
would
old
you
house.
why on earth would you think that you, as one person moving into the neighborhood, would automatically gentrify it?
It was just something I was thinking about when I was buying a house. I was thinking about,
Sort of like how you have white nationalism on the brain.
like I have white nationalism on the brain. Yeah. We haven't
Seems to
talked
come up
about
a
that
lot.
yet. Yes, it comes up a lot because I think that white nationalism is what we're up against right now. I think that there's white nationalism, and then what you call communism or wokeness or whatever it is that you call it. So I think that white nationalism is like the ideology now of the far right, or always
Interesting.
was.
Including among people that aren't white, just to be clear.
Yes.
Including about 40% of Hispanic voters in the United States. They're Nazis too. It seems like the Third Reich must have won the Second World War. I think that what happened is that over the last few years, we had a time slip. Something happened in the continuum of time, and we went into a weird, bizarro world where Hitler won the Second World War, and now you've got black Nazis and Hispanic Nazis. I keep hearing that Japanese people are mostly Nazis. And how many fucking Nazis do we have to kill before we can finally put this issue to rest? Seems like they won.
Seems
Well,
like they won.
according to Jason Giorgiani, they did win, and they took a time machine back into Mars and started their own colony and created Atlantis. But that's a whole other discussion for a later time.
I'm beginning to believe
Atlantis
in
was
the.
Nazi?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm starting to believe in the Russian conspiracy theory about the Nazis going under the Antarctic ice and they're still there and they've got UFOs and stuff at this point.
Operation High Jump. Look into it.
Exactly.
So anyway, let's get into speaking of the big guns that are hidden in
Ooh,
Antarctica that destroyed Admiral Byrd's fleet. Let's get into guns. Let's get into gun
guns,
control. So
Guns.
guns, yeah.
guns, guns.
I love them.
Okay. Yes, we know you do. I don't.
I, I can't wait to buy more when I get back to the US.
I know.
I'm going to name one after you.
You are. That's so sweet. So nice of you.
Oh, and by the way, before the
will
guns,
it be semi-automatic or automatic?
Well, I wish I could buy an automatic weapon.
Mhm.
by the way, before the guns, I just want to say we are officially at around 3 BLUs, or as Styx calls them, Biden loser units. So
Nice
900,
job.
931 people watching. Thank you very much,
You're
everybody.
also very, very close to breaking 10,000 subscribers.
That's
You're
right.
within, you're within 500 subs of that.
No, much less. I am 9,991 subs on YouTube right now. So
Oh,
it's
the
literally
Q-Men
only
going,
only
"Yeah,
10 only 10
I'm
subs
so
left.
strong."
That's it. I am so strong. Break the rules is so strong.
Yep,
Why?
I got
Because
700. I'm good with my 700. Thank you to all my followers.
I'm gonna swallow your 700 now. Okay. Anyway, we are gonna talk about guns, but before that, listen.
Guns.
All the people who are watching right now, all 900 of you, go to the Break the Rules Discord. I have never showed the Discord before in the live stream with Styx, and I'm doing it right now. I'm sending the link. You could see it above. It's pinned. Go to the Discord. Join the BTR community. BTR is bringing everybody together. Alex Stein is coming in soon. We are going to be having a lot of great streams coming up, including with several famous people who I am not going to announce yet, but you know who they are, and you are going to see them in action. Anyway, with that being said, subscribe, patreon.com/breaktherules. Go for it, Laura.
Go for it.
What a lead in.
Guns, gun deaths. Lots of gun deaths every day. 220 deaths a day, about. Most of them from suicide, some of them from homicide, some of them from accidents, and some of them from police. How do we prevent gun deaths? So my idea is red flag laws, and a very strange concept of responsibility. If the gun is yours, if you bought it for your son and your son goes out and kills somebody, you should have the responsibility. Very strange, right? To think that. So because I lived in Switzerland, which is a country that has lots of guns, 46% of households in Switzerland have guns, semi-automatic, a semi-automatic at least. And they do have, you have to register, you need a permit, and you are held responsible if your gun is used for a crime. So what do you think, Styx? Should people be responsible for a gun that was used in a crime?
No, not generally speaking. I believe that the person who actually wields the firearm should be held responsible in general.
Obviously.
To be clear, I've got a different take on how to stop gun crime.
Okay.
Or gun deaths, rather. They're
Gun
different
deaths.
metrics. Gun deaths. 2/3 of them are suicides. Why aren't we talking about mental health? If you can stop 2/3 of all gun crimes in the United States just by addressing that one topic, why are we worrying about the evil, terrible, horrible AR-15, which I believe is actually something that you can have in your native Switzerland as well, if I remember correctly?
Yes.
Or at least guns that are comparable. Okay, well then I don't see what banning that has to do with it. I think that we should focus on mental health for the suicides. I think that a significant proportion of gun deaths are actually justifiable homicides, but they're going to be listed in the same numbers. I don't care about those because it basically means someone tried to kill someone and got gunned down in the process of doing so. In my opinion, that shouldn't even be in the crime statistics, and I'm not sure that there are many other countries that actually do compile those in the crime statistics because they understand that it's not really a crime to defend
Do you have
yourself.
numbers for that?
No, but I do believe that there are differences between how countries compile their gun data. And the problem is the US has a very expansive gun death sort of schema that it uses. I don't even know if gun-related suicides would generally be calculated by some nations. I don't have those numbers because they're not available. I don't even know the metrics by which some countries calculate their data. That's the whole problem. Probably
Yeah.
be better if they did.
I mean, they
And
don't really have a problem, right? That's why there's not
well,
really
they
a
do.
problem.
I mean, they do. They have, in some cases, higher suicide rates. Look at the Scandinavian countries. People still manage to kill themselves even in countries where there are no guns at all. So, we should tackle mental health for that. And then of the remnant of the actual unjustifiable uses of guns, injury, death resulting, most of them are gang related and involve handguns. Go after the gangs. Get rid of the soft on crime, liberal laws that have been instituted in some of the big cities across the United States. Get rid of the prosecutors who have a revolving door system and throw the book at them, and then arm everyone else so that when they try to burglarize a house, they get shot and they get killed. They're off the streets permanently. Good riddance. They're garbage. Take them out to the dump. Don't even give them a grave. Just dump them in the landfill, is my opinion.
So you like broken window laws. You think that we should incarcerate low-level crimes to lower crime, to lower gun deaths.
No. I think that gun owners should kill the criminals themselves and not wait for the police.
DGUs are very rare. Very rare.
What are very rare?
Defense and gun use, DGU?
False.
What do you
They're
mean
extremely
false?
common. They're extremely common, actually.
Okay,
Defensive.
what do you base it on? What we can't even study. We couldn't even study guns until this year.